Hey everybody. Okay, so yesterday I started the refactor of the animation layout so that we could see. So basically, um, it wouldn't be as complex and difficult to maintain, and easier. And kind of the main goal was to make it more. Well, there was a lot of bugs in there, so that hopefully a lot of those bugs just sort of take care of themselves, and then also to make it to where when we add new properties to animate, um, the path is very clear on what the proper way to do that is in this context, in this application. So today so yesterday after that, I coded, went more down that path. Um, I constantly have to remind myself that the whole point of this whole exercise is to learn about 3D um, topics in general, like how to draw things in 3D and just different tricks and things like that. And then number two, to learn about the 3JS API to become a little bit to kind of become more comfortable and more confident in the 3JS API. And four is to keep my Angular skills sharp. And so that's the main point. And so generally the way I achieve that in these videos is I draw something that I want to draw, and then I sort of go over why and how it looks the way it looks, and then two, then I'll sort of go over the code changes I made, and I try to call out when I'm making sort of a 3JS change, or if I'm making a TypeScript change, or if I'm making an Angular change, things like that. So, anyways, without further ado, I didn't even start a timer. Let me do that real quick. Uh, Boom. And let's see, we are already 2 minutes and 16 seconds in. All right. So, I built, so as a, for the learning part and from the practical perspective part of this application, I generally built something, and this is what I built. And I think emojis are a great way to start, um, or a great way to sort of check in and see where we're at. So this is an emoji I made, and it was pretty fun. It was basically very inspired by the Eclipse work, because I was like, oh, you could just have something in front of something else and all that. And honestly, I was thinking I would be like kind of cool to have like a shiny yellow sort of eclipse like bottom, like moon crescent bottom, and then stuff like that. But I couldn't quite get that working. But anyways, so here's a smiley, and then I think it's fun to look at it from the side. Five. So there he is from the side. Let me put that to 0. And basically the balls are up front, and then there's like a little thing covering half of it so that this is a smiley, and that's pretty cool. Um, and then it kind of reminds me of Mr. Potato Head, uh, but that's sort of fond childhood memories. 50 was not the intention, and then 0, and we're back to that. So anyways, that there was no real animations which in that, but which the work is in animations. um, the If I go over to the animations page, it's kind of funny because these animations, like I have that little spin on the blocks on the rectangle, so that kind of messes things up. So, and then they all automatically go there, and I have did not get it working. Well, maybe I did. Maybe I didn't break it. I thought I had broken it, but I don't think so. Um, so yeah. So let's see. Start left eye starts at -5 and ends at 2, so it should probably end at -3. 3. Now let's see what we get. I did not do what I was expecting, so maybe I didn't update the right one. So I have stuff in work right now. So let's see. Uh, okay, so maybe it should be 2. No, 0. Let's see where 0 puts me. looks like that should be. Anyways, you get the point. So for the code, so this is I made some TypeScript changes from last time, and basically what I added was three what you call types, and that was just so that I can force that. Right now we have the animation interface properties. So these are the animation that are allowed to be changed at this time, and the only thing that's allowed to be changed at this point is X position and Y position. And then this is the three-part properties, and this is the property that we're changing, and then this property, which is a position, also has a sub-property, which is the X and Y. I don't know how this is going to play out. Like, I know that it's going to work perfectly for Z, and then I don't know if having a new property for when we do like rotational or size, if it's going to work in this way, if this whole thing. So we may have to revisit this and refactor as we add other types of properties in. But this is a good starting point for now. Okay, so I made changes in this animation property component, animation items component, and animation property HTML, and the styles. So let's go ahead and start with the styles just so I can get that out of the way. Basically, I just hard coded these to 60, so basically it matches up with that. And I think these are I believe the second one is the component. So it might be, no, it's the first one because this one doesn't work. Okay, so this is the component. This is our old hard-coded stuff. This still works. That's the only reason I've left it in there, but it will be gone. So let me just go over that. Nah, let's skip that. Animation items. Okay, yeah, actually it makes sense. All right, so we have these animation properties, which is this stuff, and then we have our table that was just hard-coded in here, which is this stuff. This is going away. This will be completely gone by the time we're done with this, and this is what we're going to go with. And as you see, we pass in what the display name is. That's this piece right here, start XYX. The X position, what the property name is, that's so that it knows what to get. So we know for this one it's getting X position, but for this one down here we're getting the Y position. And then we added, we're passing in the animation pairs, and then we added in the position, the three property name, and the three sub-property name as X. And this is position of Y. And it might make sense to actually attach this stuff to our animation items. And I don't know, that might like it. So inside the pairs, there's an item, and that item could possibly have all its information, all the property name and all that, and then we wouldn't be passing it into this. It'll be a lot easier to figure out whether that makes sense in the near future. Okay, so let's go to the HTML. All right, so before we were getting the let's see, basically all we showed was the the start and the end of the item ID, and we weren't showing the name. So I added the name in, so that's this, and then the item IDs are in here. And I only did the start. I did not do the end. And one of the things I wanted to make sure in this new system was that these changes got picked up over here, because that was a problem before. So let's say I change the X position of the face by, let's move it down -1. Right, so now that still looks pretty good. But I wanted to make sure that when I came over here that my -1 carried across. And sure enough, see, -1. So that was good. I know that all that wiring, I'm not as confident in signals as I was in the other thing, so I didn't know if it would get picked up, but it got picked up, and that was awesome. And so that's about that. I added a key up handler for the start. So if we go to the start, here we are. And this, I brought in the new styles, and then I added new input signals. One of them is I changed the property name so that instead of just taking a string, it's taking our animation interface properties. And when you mouse over here, you can see it was a second ago. So an animation is either an X or Y position. So POS. So if anything else, if anything tries to use this um, this component, if anything tries to use this component, and it has to set a property name, and that property name has to be either X or Y position, or it won't compile. And then we have our 3 property name, and I believe there's only one of these, right? Position is the only thing you're allowed to, as you can see up there. Let's see, yeah, it says it has to be position, and this has to be either an X or a Y. So we add Z, all this stuff's going to not want to compile, and we'll get a heads up on exactly what to do. So I got rid of getting the property because we could just use the property. And so all we do is say pair item property, which is in one case it's XPOS, in another case it's YPOS start value, and that gets returned as a starting spot, which is this guy over here. And then get end, very similar, and then get current is what figures out this guy over here. We kind of went over this in the last video. And then before we had kind of set these things, but now we are like forget property. Let's see, we don't actually get the property. Let's see. So that actually is a moot point. So I had the update start. So I did want to, let me just go into this other view here. Let's see if I can get to it. All right. So one of the things that has always been a challenge for me, and let me hit stop on this, always been a challenge for me, is this guy right here. When you're passing in an event, a keyboard event, and the target, and you want to find out what the value was, so you try to get to the target and you get an error. So let me do this. And when I hit save, so basically I'm already throwing an error, and it's saying, hey, the event doesn't exist, and you get a pretty weird error. Event target is possibly null. And actually that's gotten a lot better. So that doesn't work, as you can see. And I believe the proper way to do this, and I'm not exactly sure, but I think the proper way to do this is to set it to an HTML input element, because the key up could come across on many elements that do not have a value, and that's what's failing right now, is that value. It doesn't know what that value is. So now once we've told it that it's an input element, it can access the target. This is dangerous, right? I wish there was more of a keyboard, something like keyboard HTML input event, so that at this point I could do this, and then the compiler would catch that I try to pass in something, an event that wasn't tied to an input. I think that would be better, but the way it is right now, I think all we get is a generic keyboard event, and then it's on us to figure this out. And I do not think if I added this call to another, so like, let me hit save on that, and that fixes it. Like, I believe I could on a, let's just see, I think I could do like this call, like I could create a div, let's say div, and then hello, and I believe I could go like this, and then we'll just see. Yeah, see, I could do that, but this would not have a value, and it doesn't, and the compiler doesn't catch it at this point that, hey, you're passing in an event, because the compiler doesn't really, I don't think, I'm pretty sure, because it would have failed. The compiler doesn't go look in this code and say, hey, you're trying to get something that has an HTML input element. So it would be kind of nice if this was keyboard input event, or input keyboard event. like that, or like that. Um, well, yeah, and yeah, so it's saying, hey, that doesn't exist. Um, let's see, and I believe it should be in based on the English language, uh, which I believe we are tail-ended or tail-headed or something like that. Um, the keyboard event, like you get more descriptive as you get to it. So, like in our language, a fighter, a jet fighter, a fighter jet is a kind of jet, but a jet fighter would be like someone who can fight really fast or something. So yeah, I think this would be input keyboard event. That would be really nice, and then we wouldn't have to deal with this thing, and then we would have uh, really good, or and then the compiler could catch when we screw up. But anyways, that is that, and happy coding. Bye everybody.